Hey, how are we doing? I hope you've all had an amazing week. Happy Friday night. I thought it was about time I jumped on here, stop being so cryptic, and fill you in on my next journey. So anyone that's been watching me for a while will know that I have been on here blogging my weight loss surgery journey. So I'm just over a year post weight loss surgery. Well, it'll be longer than that now, 14, 15, 16 months, something like that. Down 60 kilos. Life is amazing. Life is different. And I will continue to blog that journey through this page as well. But starting today, I am also going to be blogging another journey that I am going on. So what I have done is I have gone through and I have saved all of the videos that I have done to date on my weight loss surgery to YouTube. I'm setting up a YouTube channel. I will put a link on here in the next couple of days. I will load this video onto there as well. So there will be two channels within my YouTube channel. So you can either follow the weight loss or the other journey. So whilst going through the weight loss journey, there has been this other thing going out on the side as well. So starting at the beginning, about 3.5 years ago, one of my aunties or uncles, now I'm going to be a little bit cryptic here just to respect the privacy of other people in my family, okay? But one of my aunties or uncles was diagnosed with quite serious cancer. Now, she fought it. She's still here to this day. But as a result, they were sent for some genetic testing. As part of the cancer diagnosis, a family history was taken and it was found that there was a strong line of cancer through that family. As a result, they sent this auntie or uncle off for genetic testing. They were testing for what is known as a BRCA gene. Now that is spelled B-R-C-A, BRCA. What this is a faulty gene mutation, essentially, that increases your chance of developing cancer during your life. Now, they were found to be positive for the BRCA2 gene. So there is BRCA1 and BRCA2. Essentially, it's the same thing, but there's just different statistics around each one. As a result of their positive test, their sibling, my parent, was also sent for testing. They came back positive for the BRCA2 gene as well. As a result, about 14 months ago now, when my parent got their positive result, I was popped into the system to get testing done as well. Now, it took about 10 months to get the appointment. The appointment, they discussed what the BRCA gene was, discussed the family history, and gave me the option to be tested, which I accepted. It was as simple as 2 blood tests taken on separate days, so they had 2 different samples. The blood test is sent to Melbourne, Australia for full testing, and that took about 4 or 5 months to come back. So I was tested the first week of December, and I got my results maybe 6 weeks ago now. It was just before I headed over to Australia. It was about 4 days before I went to Aussie, I got my results. So I have also come back as positive for the BRCA2 gene. So this gene is an hereditary gene. It is a mutation of the DNA that is carried through family lines. There is a 50% chance if you do carry the gene that you have passed this on to your children. So it's not a guaranteed thing, hence why you need to get the testing done. So it's important to know this is nothing that I've done, nothing that's gone wrong. It is simply something in my genes that was inherited through DNA of the family. So what are the risks of this? It is different for females and males. So for females, anyone that carries the BRCA2 gene has around a 70% likelihood of developing breast cancer during their lifetime. Now, this is versus just a general population statistic of 11%. So 11% of the general population, females, will develop breast cancer. If you carry the BRCA2 gene, you're at 70%. Ovarian cancer is the other cancer that you are likely, that you are exponentially increased to get. So with the BRCA2 gene, I have a 17% risk of developing ovarian cancer versus a general population of 0.9%. So less than 1% of the population, I'm at 17%. Now for males, it affects them in breast cancer and prostate cancer. So breast cancer, they are a 7% lifetime risk versus a 0.11% for the general population. Obviously more rare in the males, but prostate is the big one for them. So prostate cancer affects 11.8% of the general population males. Anyone carrying the BRCA2 gene, there is a 60% chance of developing that prostate cancer. So breast cancer is the one with the highest statistic, okay? So as a result of my positive diagnosis, some referrals were put into the public health system. I am classified as a priority 1 case due to my age and my family history. So in my family line of history, the youngest death occurring from cancer that could be caused from the BRCA2 gene was my great-grandmother at the age of 35. So I'm 40 this year, so because of these statistics, I was rated a priority 1. I had the first of those 2 appointments just over a week ago now. It was an appointment with a specialist breast surgeon at the Christchurch Hospital, where we discussed the options available to me. Now, obviously, you're not forced to do anything. Okay, you can just live with these risks. You can learn how to mitigate the risks, i.e. having regular mammograms, ultrasounds, things like that. They become immediately available for me now that I've been tested with this gene, versus normally you have to wait until an older age in New Zealand anyway to access these services. So you can mitigate the risks as best you can. You can ignore it. Or you can go down the preventative line. So we were there to discuss what the preventative measures are, which is, in terms of the breast, this was just the breast appointment, a double mastectomy. This is something that I have decided to have. So I am working through the system currently to get myself on the theatre table for a full double mastectomy. So by removing all breast tissue, nipples, the skin of the breasts, and using skin from elsewhere on my body to reconstruct, I then therefore put myself back to a general population risk. The option is there to have reconstruction, or that you can just go for the flat, completely mastectomy option. Reconstruction is where personally I'm looking at. I do have private health insurance. So when I got my positive result back, I did do some research, found my breast cancer surgeon of choice, and have made an appointment with them as well. The fact that my appointment through the public system arrived quicker than I was able to get an appointment through the private sector definitely probably put the heebie-jeebies up me a little bit, because that just shows how much of a priority case they are treating me as, especially in a post-COVID world. Anyone that knows the New Zealand health system isn't in great shape at the moment. So to get in like 2.5 weeks after that positive diagnosis for this meeting with the surgeon shows you how worried they are. So at this appointment, so I have not had my appointment with the private surgeon yet. That's in about a week and a half's time. But at this public appointment, of course, I went along. We're going to tick all the boxes until such time as I am 100% accepted into the private line. Went along to this appointment. I genuinely thought it was just going to be a whole lot of conversation. But when I arrived, I was asked to put a robe on, which was fine. Did that. So the first half of the appointment was just as you would expect in any normal public health system appointment, right? Talking about how this is the first of many meetings we need to have. There's certain hoops that you need to jump through. Being through the public system, need to meet with a psychologist, have sign-off, things like that. Just lots of these conversations, talking about what my options were. And then halfway through, the specialist asked if she could do a physical exam. Shorts, well, I've got the robe on, let's do it. Whipped off the top. So she took measurements, just things like this as a baseline, and then she just did a general breast exam. Now, during this, her body language changed immediately. Her tone of voice changed. She then asked me when my last mammogram was, to which I replied, I'm only 39. I'm not old enough to have a mammogram in New Zealand. Only just got these results a few weeks back, so nothing's been organised like that. She then asked if we could get someone in for a second opinion. After 2 further people came in and examined me, all of their body language telling me things weren't great, I got dressed again and they sat me down. Their words to me was that I have lots of lumps and bumps in my breast that they are slightly concerned about. Now, a lot of this is to do with my dramatic weight loss, so it does kind of go hand in hand with that. I said this to my GP maybe a couple of months ago. I was telling her I'd been tested for the BRCA gene, was still waiting for the results. And she asked me if I do regular breast exams. Of course, we should be doing that monthly. You know, we should be keeping on top of that. I've always done this. And I said to her, I find it really hard now. I used to be a G cup. I'm now a B. My body has changed without a doubt, right? There are lumps and bumps and mounds and all sorts of things going on here that I have never felt in my life. They were just never even like feasibly able to be touched because they were covered in G's. Okay, so there are so many things. I don't know what my normal is what I was saying. I don't know what normal is, because what I'm feeling now is not the normal I have felt for the last, whatever, okay, 30 years. I don't know. So there are lots of bumps that they're concerned with, but they are aware that this could be a result of the rapid weight loss. But more concerning is inflamed lymph node. I have an inflamed lymph node on the left-hand side. So I have now been referred for an urgent mammogram and ultrasound, the results of which will decide. My dog has just flown out to yell at the neighbour's dog. The results of those will determine whether I need to have a biopsy. Now, all 3 of the specialists that were present in the room said to me that they can guarantee I'll be having a biopsy, but the way the system works, we have to do the mammogram ultrasound first, and then the biopsy will be booked in. The conversation then for the second half changed dramatically. We went from talking about what is essentially a preventative surgery. We could take our time, we could do a double mastectomy, and we could do a reconstruction at the same time. It is an extensive surgery to do those 2 together. You are looking at about a 9-hour surgery to have a double mastectomy and a reconstruction at the same time. So it's a massive surgery, but totally doable. We went from talking about that to you need to get things in order. You're a single mum, you're self-employed. Make sure that you've got all your ducks in the row. Make sure you've got your friends and family ready to rally around you, because we could have you in for surgery reasonably urgently after the results of these come back. That will be a double mastectomy, and that is it. Because it will be classified as emergency surgery, they are able to do the double mastectomy but not willing to do the whole operation, being the reconstruction at the same time. This would result in me having no breasts for a period of at least a year, because they do need to fully heal before they will even consider a reconstruction. So that is where we are at the moment. This is all probably extra real for me at the moment, as I have got a very, very dear friend. So I got my BRCA results on the Friday. On the Wednesday, a very, very dear friend of mine, like we went to high school together, we've grown up, you know, we've known each other for 20 years. You know, she's got a 10-month-old baby that I'm Auntie Marie too. I'm not blood auntie, but I'm auntie. She's auntie to my child. She was diagnosed with stage 3 triple negative breast cancer and is currently undergoing chemotherapy. Watching her put up a fight to survive for the sake of her 10-month-old child and her husband makes this very real for me. that no longer am I standing beside her, supporting her, I might be in the same boat with her. So at this stage, it is a waiting game. As I say, mammogram ultrasound is happening on Wednesday, the results of which are likely to then forward me onto a biopsy. My understanding is that's likely to happen within a week, and then the results of that may take another week. So it's a whole lot of waiting, at this stage. But that's what's going on with me at the moment. Now, when my Auntie Raincool was first diagnosed with the BRCA2 gene, the nerd that I am started doing a bit of research, and it is really hard to find reliable and personable stories. Hence why now that I have been diagnosed with this, I'm going to blog it. Now, anyone that's followed me with my weight loss surgery knows that I don't do this for anyone else. I mean, I do, but I do this for myself. I am a single mum, and I find this as a form of therapy. This allows me to get my thoughts in order. It allows me to dump to, the equivalent of someone in a relationship when they get into bed at night and there's a person on that pillow beside them and they can just offload to. That is how I use this blog. But I do hope that maybe other people that are in the process of being tested for BRCA or positive for BRCA can use this for a little bit of source of information as well. Hence why I will be blogging it through this same page. So the second referral that is in the system for me is to, I can't say this word, gynecological department, the gynae department, to discuss about ovaries and tubes being out. While I said that there is you're not forced to do anything, the conversation with the specialist breast surgeon, she was open to, do you want to manage the risks of doing mammograms? Do you want to go down the double mastectomy? But when we were discussing briefly the gynae, she was like, no, they need to be out by the time you're 40. We would delay the breast surgery to get your ovaries and tubes out. Again, they can't force me, but they're pretty strong on that one. Big reason being, there is no reliable method of screening for ovarian cancer. With breasts, the recommendation is that you have annual mammograms with alternating annual ultrasounds. So mammogram 6 months later, ultrasound 6 months later, mammogram, and that would continue. That is how they monitor you. There's nothing you can do for ovarian cancer. There is a blood test, it's not very reliable. Ultrasounds are even less reliable. So the problem with ovarian cancer is you've generally got it and you've got it pretty good before anyone knows. So they are very encouraging that I need my tubes and ovaries out. In part of the process, she did ask me what contraception I used, at which point I advised that I use a Mirena, which is an IUD, and have been since about the age of 20. So like 20 years, I'm like my 4th or 5th, to which she freaked out a little bit more. So anyone that carries the BRCA1 or BRCA2 gene definitely should not be using any HRT, hormone replacement therapy, any hormone therapies. The biggest risk one being progesterone. Again, I can't say that word, progesterone, that hormone, which is found in our contraceptive. So what the surgeon said to me is, if, my chances for breast cancer at 70% and my chances of ovarian cancer at 17%, the fact that I'm on like my 4th or 5th Mirena, we can add 10% to those percentages already, just because I've had 20 years of being exposed to that hormone. So she wants that out urgently. I'm pushing back on that also. I got the Mirena at such a young age because that's how I manage my endometriosis. And the idea of having that taken out and having to manage with endo is not doable at this point. So we'll discuss that with the gynae department. In which case, if I do decide to have the gynae surgery, I would be in for a full hysterectomy. Just for the sake of then we can deal with the endometriosis at the same time. Mentally, where am I at on that? I'm 100% all in for the boobs. let's cut them off. Let's do them. As long as you're going to build them again, let's do it. Okay. I'm not there on the gynae stuff. I am 39. I am a single mother. I do have a 9-year-old, but I have always dreamed of having 2 kids. I believe I'm made to have 2 children. And yes, I know I'm missing the other half of the equation right now, but I'm not ready to medically remove my ability to have another child. So that's just something that I need to deal with mentally and make some decisions around. As for the breasts, I'm a big believer in silver linings. When life throws shit at you, you have to find the silver linings. No matter how small or ridiculous they sound, you have to find them and you have to hold on to them, because that's that little bit of positivity getting you through a situation, right? Now, anyone following my weight loss thing will know that one of the biggest things I have dealt with mentally is the loss of my boobs. I have struggled tremendously with how drastically and dramatically they have changed. So to me, having the BRCA2 gene sucks, but my silver lining is I can get some new perky titties, all right, because I am getting implants and they are going to be perky. Okay, so I'm holding on to that. So I'm good to go for the boobs. I'm just not quite there on the gynae. We're still dealing with that. I do have an appointment with the gynae department first week of July. That one was a little bit slower to get in, but that appointment has been set as well. So that's how we are. That's where we're sitting at the moment. Now, as I said, anyone that does carry the BRCA2 gene, there is a 50%, so toss a coin, whether you pass it on to your children. I do have a 9-year-old son, so there is a 50% chance that he has picked up this gene as well. Now, in New Zealand, genetic BRCA testing, or counselling they call it, is not available until you're of the age 18. They just simply will not test anyone under the age of 18. So that's just something we'll deal with in the future. We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Certainly when you look at the statistics, it's much more serious for a female to have it in terms of those percentages than it is a male. So I guess I'm lucky I had a boy. But yeah, that's something we'll deal with in the future. Not overly concerned about that right now. That's just something we'll deal. All good, honey, Janina. I will flick your message. No worries. So yes, that's where we are. So I've tested tested positive for the BRCA2 gene, and in a result of just the normal referrals in the system I had, they have found some lumps and bumps in my breasts, including an inflamed lymph node that I am now currently under investigation for, and depending on the results of that, may end up in a biopsy, and then I guess worst case scenario, emergency surgery to remove the breasts. So that's where we are. Bit of an update. Now, I will put out there that at this point, I have not told my son anything about what's going on. I will. I'm not going to keep it a secret from him. But until I have more answers, I do not wish to tell him. So I'm just putting this out here. If you are somebody that maybe your children know my son, or you know my son, if you could respect my privacy on that one, just at this point, there's no need to concern him until I've got some more answers. So I'm just putting that out there. So I've been seesawing about whether to do this blog just yet until such time as telling him. But I need it. I need my little offload. So there you go. That's what's happening. BRCA2, they're going to kick its butt just like we kicked the butt of the weight loss surgery. And I know I will with all you lovely people behind me. Hello to all of the scammers that are jumping on here saying hello, random men from weird countries. How you doing? But otherwise, thank you to all my followers. Thank you for tuning in. Again, thank you for all the support you always give me. And I will update you after my mammogram ultrasound next week, let you know what's going on there. And then, as I say, I do have an appointment at a private breast surgeon the following week. So I will update you about that as well. So I'll go finish setting up my YouTube channel now, just to make it easy reference for anyone wanting to go back through. But yeah, we're going to kick his butt because we kick all butts. All right, including you scammers. Bugger off. All right, have a great night, everybody. Hope you are all well.